Okay.
Okay.
Okay. It is 3:50 p.m. on April 13th, 2020. We call this meeting of the Budget Committee to order. This is being held by Zoom conference call and teleconference and legal by the Executive Order number 16 handed down by Governor Bill Lee to supersede the Open Meetings Act for the next couple of months. So that's how we are meeting today. We have the agenda. You should have it in front of you. Sandrine, if you want to take on item number 1.
Okay, item number 1, budget amendments, county general, jail, $401.20. Scroll this down so everybody can see as well. Second item, South Cheatham Library, $588. County mayor, $7,600. South Cheatham Library, $75. Animal control, $20,398.39. EMS, total of $189,202. And the last item, environmental office, $24. Do I have a motion to approve? David Anderson?
Motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay. Is this the point, Mayor, where we ask for discussion?
Yeah, it's open for discussion.
Okay. Does anybody have any questions before I call roll?
What is the 7,600 on there, Mayor?
That involves the levy over at A.O. Smith, because we're going through the process of actually the Corps was going to deed the property over to the county. We was going to quit the claimant deed over to A.O. Smith. That has drug on so long that we actually got out of our original lease from 2 years ago. So we didn't renew it because we thought the property would sell. That's drug out so long, we had to go back and create another year's lease. This is being paid by A.O. Smith. This is not county, but it'll be funneled through the county for us to lease it, and then we turn around and lease that property to A.O. Smith, just like we've done for years. We just kind of having to back up and do that because the process to sell the property is taking so long, we ran out of the lease time.
Sandrine, you have to scroll back up to wherever they're talking.
I'm sorry.
I can't
Right here.
follow. So, can you go on up a little bit more, please?
Sure. Scroll down or to the top. Up. I'm sorry. Scroll down.
I'm looking for the. Stop.
Okay.
How do we end up with part-time funding issues at animal control?
We ended up with part-time issues there because they had a pool of money, and we did go into, we had to go to I don't have it in front of me, I don't remember if it's $9 or $10 an hour in order to get those positions filled. And the thought would be that we would adjust money toward the end if we needed to. And so we've kind of run into that. And my first thought we would use the donations, and that's what was in the paperwork that went out the other day, was we were just going to use the donations for that. Kristen as it came to me today and was very concerned over that those donations are being used for spay and neuter medical that we don't have to pay out of the county budget side of it. And so she was afraid if we use that for part-time, that would drive the donations, where we then would have to go back and either get more money for spay or neuter, or we'd have to spend more money on euthanasia. which gets pretty expensive. It gets more as expensive as the spay and neuter in a lot of cases. So that's where we are right there. In the new budget year, we should allow that part-time area to be there, but we did have to go up a little bit in order to get those positions filled. And of course, we were using a bucket of money. We didn't have a set position, so it kind of caught up with us. But once again, I thought I'd use the donations, and Kristen is not too in favor of that because she is concerned over it would hurt us long term in animal control.
What's the county official administrative officer? What is that? Third one
That
down.
is 54610-101 and the 8500.
Yes.
That is excess money in the forensic line. Mary Catherine looked over that today. She may be able to answer budgeted funds up in the budget year.
Where is-
Mary Catherine? I'm sorry, I'm losing you, Donnie. I'm sorry, what's the question?
Where did that come? Where is that line coming from? Where does that line item come from? Their budget or someone else's budget?
From someone else's budget.
Whose?
Are you talking about animal control?
Yes, the $8,500 is coming from where?
From another department. It's coming from, Mary Catherine, you want to answer that?
Yes, ma'am. Forensic medical has their own department because that's the only thing that we pay out of the department that's set up for the bill we pay for forensic medical. I looked over the months that we've paid for so far this year, and we're going to have a little bit extra. So that's where the money came from.
I'm sorry, but I didn't understand it.
Oh, I'm sorry. The forensic medical is set up in its own department for what we pay to them. These are excess funds.
Is she saying forensic?
Yes.
Okay.
These are just multiple lines that had available funding in them at this current time of the year of what's been spent so far.
I don't want to dominate all the questions.
Tim, do you have a question?
Oh, Tim, I'm sorry. Unmute. Tim, I believe you have your microphone muted on your end. There you go.
Now, is the forensic money, is that what we put in there to do autopsies with?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, Tim, you're muted again. I'm not sure what's going on. Were you trying to say something else?
Yeah. Maybe it was last year, but I could have swore we had to move money in that line item because we were going to be short because there's so many people committing suicide, never having to do autopsies on them.
I think it was drug related, wasn't it?
I may have to, I'm gonna let BJ in on this. BJ, are you there?
Yes, ma'am. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, it was up last year due to the increase in overdose deaths and an increase in suicide deaths. And you know, it's hard to really dictate the amount of money that you put in there because you don't ever know how many people's going to die, and of those folks that die, what would constitute an autopsy. So there is obviously there's possibilities that there will be extra funding there just based off the way the year has gone so far. Well, and to kind of put it in perspective, in the last week we've had 10 deaths and none of them had to go for an autopsy. So you just never know.
BJ, is the Narcan having an impact on that?
Actually, most of the deaths in the last 10 days has been elderly folk, non-COVID related.
No, but we're doing less autopsies and stuff because less drug related. Is that having an impact?
Some, but you know, you still have the folks that you can't get to in time. It's really hard to say. And the sheriff may shed some light on that as well. It depends on where they are when it happens as to how fast some help can get there, or if the folks on scene have it to administer.
Okay, Donnie, go ahead.
If we're through with that section or that little spot, the ambulance, I've never seen that much money move ever. Somebody's got to explain that.
BJ, do you want to take this one?
Yeah. Can you still hear me, Mr. Donnie?
Yes, sir, I can.
Okay. So part of this problem was, again, bulk of the year, we were not fully staffed, and our part-time folks are limited because we just don't have that many. Not that we don't want that many, we do, but it's hard to get those folks to come in here and work. So this is partly due to lack of staffing. And then when we got fully staffed, you know, you have maybe 1 or 2, 3 of those folks that are part-time that will work. Then you have to kind of watch their hours with part-time hours on a consistent basis as opposed to full-time hours. And then, you know, I've had an employee out on FMLA will be 12 weeks the end of this month. And then I got another one that's about to go out to care for his wife. And then on top of all that, you got COVID-19. And in order to kind of a little bit of backstory on this, the fire departments aren't currently responding to medical calls to limit the exposure because as it stands right now, some of these folks get exposed. It can potentially shut down a fire department with, you know, 6 or 7 folks quarantined. So what we've been doing at EMS is basically pulling the supervisor, the captain, off the truck every day, and they respond in a support vehicle with basically every call ahead of the ambulance. And then they've been screening these folks to limit the exposure between our personnel and the fire department personnel. But with that, again, comes with, we got maybe 3 or 4 folks that work part-time, and then you have the full-timers picking up the overtime to allow this to happen. The extra shifts and overtime shifts or whatever is offered to the part-time personnel first and foremost. But in the event that they don't pick it up, then we have to fill it. That's with the captain being off the truck every day. That's the only way to do it, to limit the exposure, as opposed to shutting an ambulance down and using a captain and just being down an ambulance a shift, which our call volume hasn't slacked off enough to do that. It's still as busy as it ever was.
Sandrine, part of my inability to understand, which I do based on what he said, part of my ability to understand is I can't see the spreadsheet. I see it, but I don't see all of it.
You can't see all of it?
Now, for example, the assistant's 4,700.
Mm-hmm.
I don't see anything at the bottom showing where it's going.
Well,
Down
all
where
the
you got
ones that I've added together are going into the lines needed down below. So that the line, it's not going to be exactly. If you add up all of the ones that kind of the debits and you add up all the credits, they equal.
What I'm saying is the numbers that are the credited numbers, I don't see those on the screen. That's the problem.
Okay. All right. Can you see them now?
Nope.
Okay, you're probably going to have to move you're probably going to have to move your box. You're going to have to move your whatever's covering it up. You're going to have to move or the way to see it. Drag your
Okay,
box.
I do
over.
now. I just lost the people, but I do now.
Okay.
And Mr. Donnie, also, you know, around this time every year when it comes to money, I'm a worrywart, and I always watch it like it were my own. And I have this conversation with the ladies in accounting and finance every year about this time, just because, you know, it's hard to predict, you know, what our year is going to be like, or what our folks are going to do, or what our staffing is going to be like. But right now we're evaluating the supervisor, the captain off the truck every day. We're going to run that again this week, which that won't last forever. But as long as things continue to keep getting better, hopefully no more than 2 more weeks of that, and that will cease. And then by that time, the girl that I got out on FMLA is coming back. The kicker to all this is two. I got 2 employees that have been offered jobs to Nashville Fire Department, and those folks come from the same shift, and one's a paramedic captain and one's an EMT. So I'm going to be back in the same boat again with 2 personnel down due to, you know, they're leaving because of money, not because of anything here. But I'm going to be back in the same boat again. So it's like a revolving door in this business. The minute you get where you're good, something bad happens.
Okay, so basically what you're doing is you're saying that you don't have the part-time people to fill the shifts, so you're having to pay overtime for full-time people.
Yes.
Mostly, yes, sir.
That's cleared that up.
So,
Okay.
and I am actively trying to recruit some folks to come work part-time. Right now it's tough because a lot of other departments and even the state's already inquired about this, how many of the full-time or part-time employees we have work full-time jobs at other services, just because the potential there to cross-contaminate coming from one job to another. So I know that's being evaluated right now too, which makes it tough.
They keep evaluating and keep putting rules on everybody. The small counties aren't going to have any.
We're going to struggle even worse. You're exactly right.
I'm fine, Sandrine. Thank you.
You're
Thank you,
welcome.
Mr. Donnie.
Okay. Are there any other discussion items or questions?
Scroll on down.
We just scroll up. Okay. Here, I'm sorry, I forgot, Donnie, you didn't have the agenda to start with. Here's that last cleanup one that the $24. We just didn't account for the last final phone bill. Okay. All right. Is there any other questions? Okay. Not hearing any. I'll call roll. Carrie McCarver,
Yes.
Donnie Jordan,
Yes.
Tim Williamson,
Yes.
Ed Greer,
Yes.
David Anderson.
Yes.
That is passed unanimously.
Sandrine, if you guys don't need me anymore, I will exit the meeting.
Okay, will do. Thank you, BJ. Have a good night.
Hi, BJ.
Thank you.
Thanks, BJ.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Go on then to item 2, budget amendments, drug control,
Still not doing well.
drug enforcement. Let me scroll down. Sorry, Donnie. Drug enforcement, $2,750. These were donated funds from the Cheatham County Community Enhancement Coalition. The purpose of their donation was to cover undercover drug purchases. So this is just an amendment to move the funds from where it was deposited to into that drug enforcement payment line.
Motion.
Second.
Okay, was that Ed Greer made the motion and David Anderson second? Is that correct?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, is there any discussion or questions? Okay, not hearing any. I will call roll. Carrie McCarver,
Yes.
Donnie Jordan,
Yes.
Tim Williamson,
Yes.
Ed Greer,
Yes.
David Anderson.
Yes.
Okay, 5 yes, 0 no, 0 absent. Item 3, budget amendments, Highway, Public Works. Let me scroll down. The first item, other charges, $2,269.37. This is the reimbursement from the schools for the electricity use at the bus garage that we're just putting back into the electricity line where it was paid from. The next item, capital outlay, $10,000. This is to transfer unused budgeted funds to replace an old service truck. The next item, operation and maintenance of equipment and employee benefits. He's requesting to transfer funds from his highway fund balance to pay out Mr. Howard Leslie. Per the highway personnel policy, Mr. Leslie has the option to roll his sick into retirement for credit service or receive a cash payout. He has chosen the cash payout option. He is being paid out 460.25 sick hours, 375 vacation hours, and a half hour of comp, totaling the budget amendment total will be $18,949.13. I checked with Andrea. I believe she said there after Mr. Leslie, there's 2 more employees that will be able to choose this option, and it will be no longer an option for other employees. The last item, capital outlay, highway and bridge maintenance, $1,100,000. This is also from highway fund balance to replace old equipment in the amount of $200,000, which is a boom tractor and a milling machine. $850,000 towards asphalt, $25,000 towards pipe, and $25,000 towards striping. Do we have a motion?
Motion.
Motion by David Anderson. Do we have a second?
Second, to get it on the floor.
Okay. Discussion.
Sandrine, just for
Yes, sir.
clarification, that last one, capital outlay, highway and bridge maintenance, you said 1,100,000. Just for clarification, in case somebody's not got it in front.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
No, no
Yes, sir. I'm sorry.
No problem.
I probably said that wrong. And I'm going to unmute Mr. Hester in case you all have any questions for him.
I'm here. I'm here.
Okay, this came up last month, and we asked it to go to Highway and Bridge Committee. Did they look at it and vote on it?
No, we didn't take it before them. I had some stuff on it I wanted to change, and I just decided I'd go ahead and change that. And, I think the mayor, tried to make it plain the last time. It's really, I don't know that the Road and Bridge Committee has anything to say really over what the Budget Committee decides to do.
Okay.
I mean, the request was to have it reviewed by the Road and Bridge Committee. I mean, they're still welcome to do that if that's what the committee wants.
I thought that was the direction we gave last month.
That is the motion that passed. You're correct, Commissioner Greer.
Mr. Mayor and Sandrine,
Yes, sir.
I'd like
Yes.
to amend Mr. Anderson's motion.
Okay.
The way I'm looking at this, there's 3 items on the list. Is that correct?
There are actually 4. There's these 2 here, or this one is reimbursement. This is we have this about every quarter. This $10,000 one is to use unused budgeted funds. And then these last two are both, which is really not really anything we can control.
I'd like to amend his motion to include only the first three and send the fourth one to the bridge to look at, just for discussion purposes.
I second that.
So the motion is to eliminate that fourth item for discussion today, or the fourth item would be sent to the Road and Bridge Committee for review and recommendation.
Yeah, back, it's the $1,100,000 item.
Are you asking Mr. Jordan for that to go to the Road and Bridge Committee for recommendation, then come back to the budget, or do we want to, well, or do we want to take it up on its own? We can do that after we take on the first three.
I'd like to send it back to Road and Bridge just for their review of it. This is
Okay,
like-
I mean, but keep in mind, Mr. Jordan, it's never been to Road and Bridge. The original motion from last month, it was passed by the Budget Committee contingent upon being reviewed by Road and Bridge. Road and Bridge never got that budget amendment, and this one has been changed. So we would either, I think, probably be clean about this, we would rescind the amendment we approved last month, take this one on its own, and we could either send to the Road and Bridge Committee with their recommendation to return back to us to consider, or we could do like last month, approve this one contingent upon being reviewed by the Road and Bridge Committee. What would be your intent, or what would you want to do on that, Mr. Jordan?
The items that the Purpose School Fund reimbursement, which is underneath that one, is that part of those four?
Yes, sir. That's the electricity. That's item number one. So your motion is to take on the first three. Let's go forward with that. And then we can come back to the fourth one and figure out what we want to do with it.
That'd be fine.
Was that the second on that, Mr. Greer?
Yes.
Okay. So is there any other discussion about the first three items? Hearing none, Sandrine, call the roll. I mean, no, we got to do the amendment. I'm sorry. Let's vote on the amendment to single out the top three, then we'll vote on the top three and come back to that fourth item. So the motion,
Okay.
the motion is the amendment to eliminate the fourth item on this vote. We're going to take up the first three only. We need a motion on that. I mean, we need that amendment voted on, and then we'll come back to the original.
Okay, and Mr. Jordan made that amendment motion and Mr. Greer seconded it. So I'll call roll based on that amendment, correct?
Yes, we're just voting on the amendment.
Okay. Okay. Carrie McCarver,
Yes.
Donnie Jordan,
Yes.
Tim Williamson,
Yes.
Ed Greer,
Yes.
David Anderson.
Yes.
Okay, that is passed unanimously. So now the amendment is passed. So now we're just going to consider passage of the first three of the four items that were presented before the amendment. And that is the other charges, the capital outlay, and the operation and maintenance of equipment and employee benefits. Is there any further discussion on those three items? Hearing none, Sandrine, call the roll for approval on the original, but now would only take in those three since that amendment passed.
Okay. Carrie McCarver,
Yes.
Donnie Jordan,
Yes.
Tim Williamson,
Yes.
Ed Greer,
Yes.
David Anderson.
Yes.
Okay, I declare that has passed unanimously on the first three items, and that still remains on the fourth item. What's the pleasure of the board with the fourth remaining item that was separated?
Is there going to be a problem if this is postponed for another full month till it comes back to us next month?
No, sir, it won't be. I'm just trying to, I got a lot of things on my plate and I'm just moving forward with everything that I can move forward with. This is just fuel tax money that was, it's only, your budget's only a projected thing and this is just over projection on the fuel tax. We got more fuel tax than what was projected and I'm just wanting to put it to good use, as everybody knows.
Okay.
Mr. Jordan, did you have an direction or intent you wanted to go with this fourth item standing on its own?
If you want a motion, I just move that we give Road and Bridge the opportunity to review it.
So you're making that in the form of a motion?
Yes.
So we have a
Second.
motion. Okay, so we have a motion on the floor to send the capital outlay part of our amendments today for review by Road and Bridge, and asking for that to then come back with a recommendation from Road and Bridge to the Budget Committee after it's been reviewed. Is that correct?
Yes, sir, that's correct.
Okay, and we got a second. Any discussion on that?
Or
Who
is
made the
road,
second? I'm sorry, I missed that. Who made the second?
David Anderson.
Okay, thank you.
now I'm sitting here thinking, are any of the subcommittees meeting?
If-
No, sir, not this
That's,
month.
yeah, that's the thing. I don't know when, you know, before we was going to try to have it before the commission meeting, but now the commission meeting will be with us Zoom, so I don't know how we would do it.
Okay, in my opinion, it won't come back till next month. If the Zoom meeting goes well, Thursday, the practice session Thursday, and it goes well at the commission meeting, there would not be any reason that the committees could not go back to meeting and meet this way.
I agree with that.
The chairman could either be at home or come here, and other members be at home, just like what we're doing now. So I think the committees can go back to meeting if they've got business that needs to be voted on or looked at, do it by Zoom, just like we're doing again today.
Okay. And they would, if that stayed on schedule, they'd be able to meet in their regular session the first week of May, and then it would come to the May commission. Or well, they would meet the first week, the second week, we could bring it back to the budget committee and still have it set up for the May commission meeting.
Yes.
We can meet the first Thursday night. We can meet the first Thursday night in May, I guess, for this Zoom, and then back to the, well, no, I guess it'd have to go to the, if the Road and Bridge is okay with it, it can go back to the budget, then before the full commission, am I correct?
In May.
Yes, sir.
I mean, that's the trip it would take as long as it didn't hit any bumps or anything in those two meetings. You're correct. But it would timeline, first week of May, it would hit Road and Bridge for their review and recommendation to come back. The second week of May to the budget committee.
Okay. All right.
Any further discussion on the motion? Hearing none, sound Dream, call the roll.
Okay, Carrie McCarver,
Yes.
Donnie Jordan,
Yes.
Tim Williamson,
Yes.
Ed Greer,
Yes.
David Anderson.
Yes.
Okay, declare that has passed unanimously, so that will then be heading to the Road and Bridge Committee for their recommendation to return to us in May. Sandrine, still with you, item 4.
Okay, item 4, other capital projects, jail, other general administration, $12,309.19 to transfer available funds to cover the trustee commission fees. Donnie, this is your favorite one. It's what we have to do sometimes this time of year whenever we have to clean up. It's kind of year-end cleanup. We've projected what we will need to cover through the end of the year for the trustees commission fees.
Motion to approve.
Have a
Second.
motion, have a second? Motion and
Second.
Second by David Anderson.
Yes.
Second, but that's fine.
Yeah, it can have it.
Don't fight over it. All right, any discussion on item 4 on the trustee commissions? Mr. Jordan, you want to give your annual speech?
No, sir, I'm tired of it.
Okay.
They're tired of hearing it. I'm tired of giving it.
Any further discussion or questions? Hearing none. Sandrine, call the roll.
Carrie McCarver,
Yes.
Donnie Jordan,
Yes.
Tim Williamson,
Yes.
Ed Greer,
Yes.
David Anderson.
Yes.
Okay. Item 5 is the minutes from the March 9th budget meeting. Need a motion to approve.
Motion to approve.
Okay, motion by David Anderson, a second.
Second.
Tim Williamson. Okay, any discussion? Donnie, do you want me to give you a moment to read over these or?
No, I'm fine.
Okay,
Thank you, though.
okay. If there's no discussion, I will call roll. Carrie McCarver,
Yes.
Donnie Jordan,
Yes.
Tim Williamson,
Yes.
Ed Greer,
Yes.
David Anderson.
Yes.
Okay, it's passed. 5 yes, 0 no. The last item is a discussion item for the Lieutenant Hannah and the sheriff, discussing the possibility of using GPS monitoring for nonviolent offenders. So I'm going to unmute Mr. Hannah and the sheriff.
Hello.
In case any questions.
Can you scroll?
And I'm going to pull that up here. I'm sorry, I keep forgetting to do that. Y'all, if you want to read through that. And JJ, you can begin speaking if you want to say anything now, or.
We had a meeting with Judge Maxey, myself, and the sheriff. And, Judge Maxey's been there and actually brought this to our attention of a company that he found that will do the monitoring for $3 a day. And as you know, we've talked about this several times, and it's never came to pass that we used it. But we believe with Judge Maxey bringing it to us, and with the situation that we're dealing with now of all the people with the viruses and possible contagions, that we'd be able to use this right now. And what we're proposing is using some of the money that we were allotted to house inmates off-site, like Robertson County and stuff like that. There's going to be a little bit of extra money in that for the year that we're not going to use. We're proposing using that money to do this with. We're not talking about a huge amount of money.
JJ, is the judge indicating he wants to do this for the COVID-19, or after COVID-19, whatever happens with it, we can continue with this program?
Well, I think he's willing to continue with the program. I think this was just the push that he needed to actually get him in gear to use the program.
Sandrine, I lost you.
I think
Jordan,
Sandrine lost her connection.
Mr. Jordan, you took over my screen, so you're the big man on my screen.
Yes,
And
he's at the
I-
top.
I guess I left some. I don't see Sandrine now, and I don't see the handout. So I don't know what happens.
No, I don't see that either. Am I jumping up on your screen? JJ's on my screen.
We lost Sandrine. She
Yeah, she's totally been removed.
Right there.
I'll go find a participant.
I see we're still recording. So okay, I see we're still recording. So I was afraid we might have lost the recording of Sandrine, but I see we're still recording. So is that where you are, Mr. Jordan? You're recording from where you are?
Yes.
Oh, okay, we're still
And
recording.
I think she's recording as well.
Jason, can she bring herself back online?
She will have to join, and then she can be designated as host again.
Will that come up on your end there to show she's trying to reconnect?
Yes.
Okay, keep looking for her. I'm sure she's trying to get back on.
Yes, ma'am.
Well, we're continuing to record. We can continue the conversation.
We're going on without you at this point, but where are you? Okay. Okay. If we can hold off just a second, she's trying to get back on.
Okay.
Okay.
I think Tim's trying to get your attention. He's muted.
She said to go ahead with the discussion. If this continues, what money are we going to use to fund this in the future?
I think as long as we put the same amount into we plan on putting the same amount of money into the housing inmates off-site again next year.
Well, we are, but once the jail's built, then you won't have the inmates off-site.
Yeah, I mean, we'll have to find
And
another.
that money gets transferred into the jail system. So then there's no money for the recordings. For the
monitor.
Hey, Donnie, Tim's wanting to speak. He's muted.
I can't unmute him.
You can't?
Oh, I can? Where do I go to? Unmute
Tim,
all?
see if you can, Tim, you might want to see if you can unmute your own mic.
At the bottom.
Yeah, I was able to after Donnie clicked.
Good, good, okay.
Can we not, if these inmates want out, can they not pay that $3 a day?
Some of them would be able to, but not all of them would be able to. It's worth $3 a day to us to get rid of them. Trust me, Mr. Tim. We spend way more than that taking care of them.
It seems
Yeah,
like it.
I mean, personally, I've got some conflict with it, but I don't have a problem with it because we've been trying to do it for 3 or 4 years.
Yes, sir.
Now all of a sudden we're ready to do it.
Well, it wasn't us holding it up. It's all.
Well,
in the
no, I'm
Well,
aware it was being held up.
I've worked several times to get us to this point, and my hard work has not come to fruition because the powers that be didn't want to use it.
Or are y'all afraid these people are gonna take off and run if they don't have the monitor on?
I think Judge Mackey's biggest hangup was the financing part of it.
Well, I know, but I mean, if you're not afraid they'll run, if you're gonna let them out, and it costs us $3 a day, why not just let them out?
Well, there's some of them that really need to be in jail, but they don't necessarily need to be in jail. I know that don't make any sense. There's some of them that if you just let them out, they're going to break the law again and be right back in here. And if you can do a little bit of something to them, it might prevent them from coming back.
But is that monitoring thing gonna stop that?
It'll definitely curve it some.
And Tim, if I can give you an
That
example.
bracelet, right? Is that the,
Can I give you an example?
Yeah.
For instance, a person who has a job but who gets continuously involved in a domestic with his significant other, by putting a bracelet on him, allow him to go to work, then that we can set up a geo fence where he can't go anywhere. If he goes anywhere near where his wife or girlfriend is, it sets off alarms, thus notifies us, and we can violate him. But people like that who are not as much of a threat but still need to be monitored. Those are the ones we're looking at. It's ironic that we tried this for so long with the judge, and he just wasn't interested, and now he is. He's interested, and I just think we ought to take advantage of it. Any other way that we can send more people out, but have them monitored as well, but have them out still working their job or whatever.
Well, it's a good example is the video arraignment system we've had for a couple of years now. Judge Maxey did not want to use it. Now we have no choice but to use it. He's starting to like it. So it's going to make our life a whole lot easier in the future after we get past this mess because we'll use it.
Yeah.
Hopefully we'll do the same thing with the GPS monitoring.
How is the monitor going to work? I know that's none of my concern. But I am curious. How is it going to work?
We give the parameters to the company. They enter them in the system. They actually monitor it. If there's a violation, they notify whoever the designee is.
They monitor it through what? The cell phone? Bracelet?
It's a bracelet. It's a self-contained bracelet with a GPS receiver on it that transmits back and forth to the company.
Is that on the leg? Is that a leg
Yes.
bracelet?
Yes, sir.
Who is the company, may I ask?
Sheriff, I don't remember the name. Do you?
Can't recall the name. I remember we talked with representatives. They're similar to Securus, but it's not Securus. It's another company.
It's not the company Metro had so much trouble with, is it?
I do not believe. I can get you all the information and send it to you, Mr. Donnie.
I don't need it. I just think you need to check that. Make sure it's not the company. Metro had a terrible time, and they quit actually using it. I don't know who it's with. I just know they quit using it.
And we'll fully vet the company, and if it's a contract, we'll have to get the mayor to bring it to y'all, propose it to you anyway. We know we got Securus we can use if nothing else. It was roughly the same price.
From what I understand, though, I don't think there's a contract involved, JJ. I think that was one of the stipulations that we can quit. But Securus also, they're similar to Securus, who we're using right now, who's a very reputable company. But this company is also in other states as well operating. So yeah, we can check them out pretty quickly.
Is this one of the companies that have a state contract?
I believe the judge said they had the state contract.
Okay, that would clean up that quite a bit. JJ, how many, not to change gears, but how many inmates do we have in Robertson or Montgomery County outside of the county right now being housed that we're paying for?
I think right now we've released some that are up there. I believe we're about 7 or 8 right this moment.
You know how much money is available in that line at this point?
$111,000 and some change.
Mr. Mayor? Hello? Hello? Hello, hello? I think we just broke connections with everybody. Huh? We have taken a pause. We are still recording, but we have paused.
It says recording up in the corner. I think we're okay on recording, but we're dropping off like a bus. There's David. It's.
I see Donnie.
There you go. Okay. Mr. Jordan's still there.
Is everybody, can everybody hear?
Yeah, I can hear.
Yes.
Ed, do you hear?
I hear.
Tim?
He's muted again.
Tim?
He's muted again.
I know, but I don't know how to unmute him. He muted himself.
At the bottom.
What mine was doing earlier, if you mute yourself, you've got to get permission from the host to unmute.
Yeah, that's what happened to me.
Okay. See, Tim's offline. Tim's muted himself. Unmute.
Hey, Tim was happy with me not being able to talk the other day.
Sandrine, are you still there?
I'm not muting myself. Somebody else is doing it.
All right, you're back.
You're back.
Hey,
Living
sorry.
color.
I'm gonna start.
Hey, Sandrine.
Hold on. There we go. Okay, I was still on the phone with Connie.
Thank you.
Okay, back. I had to restart my computer. I don't know what was wrong.
Not a reverb.
It looks like we're fixing to freeze up again.
Okay.
There's Sandrine.
There you are.
Back.
Back.
Where?
I've heard all the. I'm sorry to interrupt. I heard all the conversation. I just was listening to my speakers. So.
Okay, Sandrine, you're the host again.
Okay. Well, I'm sorry to interrupt the conversation. Y'all continue on with.
It's now 4:39.
Are you recording again, Mr. Jordan?
I never have stopped.
Okay.
My only concern on that same subject is where's the sheriff?
I'm here, right here.
I don't have a problem with it. I never have had a problem with it for 3 or 4 years now. Something we should have done years ago. I have a small problem with using that money for that purpose because we're going to be building in an expense in next year in there.
The purpose of us, when we designated that money, was to throw that into operation of the jail, if I understand correctly.
Once we had,
if we could find the money somewhere else where we could permanently move it, wouldn't be a bad idea at all.
Hey, Donnie,
Yes, sir.
keep letting people out. We might not need a jail.
I wasn't going to say that yet, but it was coming.
What if we start off with 10 people and see how it works with the court? If we y'all budget for 10 people to be out on it and see how it works. Just another avenue.
I mean, we budget for 10 people, but the question is, where you gonna take the 10 people's money?
Mhm.
What is it we presently are doing we don't want to do anymore? 'Cause I don't look for any new money. According to what I'm hearing, I don't look for any of it coming in. Do you, Mr. Mayor?
No, it's going to be quite a budget year.
That's what I'm hearing.
Hey, Donnie,
Yes, sir.
I mean, if you don't have the number of inmates, you're not feeding them, so could you not take it out of that?
Well, that's what I would think, that you could look at those two numbers and see where there's some money. I mean, if we're down from 150 or 60 to 70, JJ, where are you?
I'm right here.
What's that doing to your food budget and so forth?
We should be sitting pretty good on the food budget. Like you said, with the especially the last 2 months where we've been so low, we should be earning some money off of that, saving some money anyway.
It looks, didn't we have a guarantee in there of so many?
Well, it's a sliding scale, so the lesser meals they're making, the more it costs. So if we're paying $1 for 100 of them and it goes down to 75, we might be paying $1.15 or something like that per meal.
Have you tried to figure that to see where there's going to be some savings there?
I just got my expenditure report today to look at all that stuff, and I haven't had a chance to look at it. I can probably find the money
Sure.
for 10 people for the rest of the year in my budget, though.
That's what I would suggest, Sandrine.
Okay. I'll note that.
Now, is this something, if I can find the money in my budget, is this something that,
I make a motion to approve it, provided the money is found within the sheriff's budget.
I second that.
Okay.
Mr. Greer, seconded.
Or the judge's budget. We could do it out of the judge's budget.
Sure,
You might reconsider at that point.
sure.
As long as JJ can find it within his budget, then you'll approve it through June 30th.
Ms. Jordan, do you want to do that for 10 or 20 or based on how much they can find?
I would say based on how much they could find.
Okay. I think it's fair.
now, is this something that would have to go through the commission, or is it after this, it's good to go after I put the money?
It wouldn't have to go to commission because if it's coming from his own budget, it would just need to be signed off on by the mayor, really. Or, I mean, that would pretty much be it.
I think in the motion from us to approve it based on his findings in his budget, the mayor can sign off on it.
Yes.
It wouldn't
It's
have to-
staying within his department. It would not have to go to commission. No, sir.
Hey, can y'all keep us updated on how it's working?
Sure.
Hey, Sheriff,
I'd be up to sheriff to do that.
Yes, sir.
has any of the inmates that's been released out of those, 67 or whatever it made, has any of them been rearrested?
Oh, yeah, some of them have, and there's going to be a lot more that's going to be coming in. A lot of them are going to be repeats. Right now, we're lucky that even a lot of the criminals are staying low because they don't want to get sick. But yeah.
Is that-
I don't know what that was. Okay. Do we need to actually do like a roll call vote on that?
Yeah, it was a motion and a second. We need to.
Okay. Is there any more discussion on it? Not hearing any. I'll do a roll call. Carrie McCarver,
Yes.
Donnie Jordan,
Yes.
Tim Williamson,
Yes.
Ed Greer,
Yes.
David Anderson.
Yes.
All in favor, 5 yes, 0 no. Okay. Unless there's anything else, that concludes the meeting, and Mayor, I'll turn it over to you. Close.
See anything else anybody wanted to discuss today or bring to the committee's attention?
Mr. Mayor,
Whoa, here we go. Commissioner Anderson, I think I heard you in there.
just wanted to ask a question. Is there any idea about when we will get back to regular commissioner meetings at the building, the courthouse and stuff?
Not at this point. This executive order extends to the middle of May. I know the governor today extended his stay-at-home order to the end of this month, so we'll just have to play it by ear and see where we're at.
I
JJ, where
personally
you
think
taking
it'll be I think we'll be lucky to get back by the end of May.
I hope we can be back by the end of May, mid or late May, I'm thinking, but we'll see how things go. Any other discussion or any item?
I've got, Mr. Mayor, I got one other item, if that's all right.
Sure.
I think there needs to be a serious conversation now between your office, the sheriff's office, and all the judges involved into where the new jail facility is going to go. Because if these things that we are presently doing to reduce the population are things they're going to want to continue to do, which to some degree makes perfect sense, then the question becomes is, do we need a new facility that houses 250 people or a new facility that houses 200 people? Now, I'm talking about initial beds. I'm not talking about the future to add 50 to 75 to 100 beds. I'm just talking about the initial beds. And I think that's going, how are you going to do this now and then turn around and say, well, we're not going to do this a year from now or 6 months from now or 8 months from now?
Well, let me, may I add to that, Don?
Yes, sir.
We're pretty much on a directive with the deputies. When I put out orders that our deputies are not being proactive. In other words, they're not intentionally pulling cars over. They're not actively looking for criminals as we normally do, normal course of business. So once all this is over, because we want our deputies to have to physically deal with as few people as we can, and this is what's going on, is that the deputies are patrolling, they're being seen, but they're not actively being proactive and going after the drug dealers, and it's driving us crazy because we're not really doing our job. I think once this is lifted, we're in this uncharted territory. Once you see this is lifted, you're going to see a drastic increase of people being incarcerated again and charged with crimes. It is nice. I wish we could have it like this all the time. I really do. It's just because of all these orders that we're under, the deputies have been pretty much mandated to be seen, be visual, respond to your calls. But even people aren't calling us as much. Our domestics have increased in our prowler calls, but people going to the hospital now are not going to the hospital. They're afraid to call 911 to go to the hospital. So a lot of calls, everything has decreased on that. So I don't know. I look at it, it's going to be business as usual, if not more, once this is behind us. And so I hate to jump to, we don't need that many beds after all, because everybody's going to behave, or the judges are going to start sentencing less people. That ain't going to be the case, because the judges they're sending people out of jail that really don't need to be out of jail. The ones we've got now are the worst of the worst of the worst. And so, and then the judges are mandated by the Supreme Court to let people out. So I don't know what the real answer is on it. I do know that once we get back to normal, we're going to go back to work again. And that's, it's going to be that.
I'm not questioning and y'all going back to work. I'm just, if they're going to start a practice, which I'm not saying is a bad practice, if they're just going to start a practice of domestic violence cases are monitored instead of locked up, which makes sense.
Yeah.
Then we need to look at that. If they're going to take misdemeanor crimes, shoplifting and all that, and go to a monitoring system, then we need to look at that kind of stuff versus maybe jail space. I mean, not long-term jail space, but over the next several years. I mean, I think it's going to increase anyway, but if that's a practice they're going to start, then I'm just concerned at how they're going to justify starting that practice because of this virus and then turn around and say, well, it works, but we're not going to do it anymore.
Well, court has literally came to a standstill, so we're having no general sessions, which means no one is being sentenced, no one is going to jail. So I don't know. I mean, this is such a surreal time that we're in. But it's something we need to sit down and look, because things aren't going to be the same once we get back to normal.
Well, the only reason I bring it up is I know everywhere else, especially Nashville, has gone crazy over that. And it's a big push across the state, across the country to take a look at getting rid of these nonviolent criminals out of schools and all of that kind of stuff. If we're going to move in that direction, we need to know that on the end of bed space. Not that we don't need another facility, and not that we don't need something better than what we've got, but, do we need 250 beds to begin with, or do we need a facility that holds 250? We only add 175 to it.
Right.
I think we need to know what their thoughts are, including the DA's office.
Yes, sir. I agree.
Mr.
I
Sheriff,
think- Go ahead, Mr. Anderson.
I was going to ask you, Sheriff, if some of these inmates are these folks out there, like when this is over, whatever, they're on that GPS, the tracking, monitoring. If they're like breaking cars, breaking in homes, would we just monitor them, or we would put them back in jail?
They'd come right back to jail. Not only that, but we're going to be able to track exactly where they're at. So if they're breaking into a car and Sycamore Square, and we have them at Sycamore Square around that time, it's even going to be more evidence against them and all that. But it's just, maybe that's a start where that's going to help reduce the number of people coming to jail with these monitors. They've come a long way in the last 5-10 years, a long way. So, yeah. JJ's talking to me, but yeah, any violation of their parole or their conditions automatically violates them. They come back to jail.
I think we can continue to monitor this, especially as a jail committee, because we're looking to how many beds do we need to pull the trigger on. Continue to monitor this and jail everything up. And hopefully we'll come out of this in the next couple of months and really see back to reality where we're at. But I think we would definitely take it up through the jail committee before we make that decision on the beds, Mr. Jordan.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
You bet. Anything else before the committee?
Those that came on as we approach 5:30 today, when we try this trial run on Thursday, try to come on 20 minutes ahead of time or 30 minutes ahead. Because we're going to have 12 of us trying to get on this thing. If we all wait till 10 minutes to 6, yeah. Mr.
It was the microphone.
But it could be a problem.
I got
Especially
it
for
fixed
the-
now.
Okay, we'll try to get the message out too to those that's gonna do the trial run on Thursday for next Monday night's meeting. Anything
So
else?
what time are we going to do this trial run? 6? So we need to be on 5:30?
At least by
Let's say-
5:45. Yeah,
At least by 5:45.
Got you.
good deal.
I got
Anything
my
else for the
mic.
committee?
Are you ready for this, Donnie?
No, sir, but we will have, whether or not we're ready, we're going to be there.
What about folks like Walter and Eugene and Miss Angelo?
Mayor, anybody?
Are they going to be able to work this out? Somebody's going to help them get this figured out?
Every
They can,
commissioner.
they can, if they can't come on the video, they can come on the audio, just like Robert did.
Yeah, that's what
Okay.
we're doing, the dry run on Thursday to see who we need to help get on, or who can get on, or who wants to go another route, so that we have between Thursday and Monday to get everybody lined up, just like we did this week. So I think it should work. Anything else for the committee? Hearing
What time
none,
is it Thursday?
6 o'clock.
So about quarter
But
till.
5:45. We'll just think 5:45. So we can get everybody lined up as quick as we can.
I got my interview mic ready.
Hearing nothing else, a motion to adjourn would be in order.
Motion.
I heard a first and a second. All in favor, say aye. Stand adjourned at 4:55 p.m. on April 13th, 2020. We'll see you at the dry run on Thursday for the full commission.